Good morning, dear children. Welcome back to Austin English class. In the last class, how far is the river? The story of the boy about 12 years. Do you remember the story? The boy who wanted to reach the river, and when his parents were out of home, he went to the river and he met a woodcutter, and the woodcutter told him it was 7 miles to reach the river. And later he met a village girl and she told him without thought 20 miles. Later he met with a shepherd boy or a village boy and he told it was very near. Later our boy and the village boy became good friends. And our boy had some piece of bread and he shared the food, the bread, with the village boy. They ate together the food sitting on the hillside. And later they became very good friends and they walked along. They talked and talked a lot of things. Okay, now let us continue. Page number 11, paragraph number, last paragraph. Page number 11, last paragraph. Are you ready? Okay. When they had finished, they walked on together and began talking and talking. The boy did not notice the smarting of his feet. After the food, the village boy and our boy walked together. They talked a lot of things. And our boy did not notice the smarting of his feet. What do you mean by smarting? Smart. Do you know the word smart? You are familiar with the word smart. S-M-A-R-T, smart. When we used it as a noun, it means pain. P-A-I-N, pain. When we use as an adjective, when we use as an adjective, it's a meaning that well-dressed, tidy, clean, something like that. We always use the word smart boy, smart girl, something. But when smart used as a noun, it means pain. So here, smarting of the feet means pain of his feet. Okay, let us continue. Once again, the boy did not notice the smarting of his feet and the heat of the sun and the distance he had covered and the distance he had yet to cover. The boy did not notice what? The smarting of his feet, he did not mind. The distance he had covered long distance. He did not notice that. And he had to cover little more distance to reach the river, So he don't mind that. And the sun is very hot. He don't mind that. He didn't mind anything and continue his walking. Now continue. But after some time, his companion had to diverge along another path, and the boy was once more on his own. And who was his companion? The village boy. After some time, the village boy had to go to his home. So he wanted to diverge. Diverge means take deviation. The village boy had to take deviation to his home. And our boy was once again alone. Now he is not in the street. Now he is in the forest alone, without houses, without human beings, without the field. There was many terraced fields. There was houses of people. Now our boy is in the deep forest without friends. Do you understand the paragraph? Okay, continue. He missed the village boy. He could not be seen. Now the village boy is away from the boy. His own home was also hidden from view by the side of the mountain. Now the village boy is not seen. And our boy could not see even his house because the village boy's house was hidden by the mountain. The river was not in sight either. The river was not in sight either. The boy could not see the river also. Now the boy was very away from his home, very away from human beings, very away from the houses and fields and everywhere in the deep forest. He could not even see the river. Okay, continue. He began to feel discouraged. He began to feel discouraged. Discouraged is the opposite of encourage. He feel unhappy, discouraged. He was sorry he had finished the bread. He might want it later. Do you remember? He finished the bread? No. He finished the bread with his friend village boy. I think now he might feel little hungry. So he thought, I might have kept it for now. He thought some food, if it was with him, he could have eaten the food or bread. Okay? Continue. He was determined to see the river. Determined means with a strong decision. But the boy was not discouraged. He was with a strong decision to see the river. He walked on along the hot, dusty, stony path, past mud huts and terraced fields, until there were no more fields or huts, only forest and the sun and loneliness. Our boy is moving and moving. Now there is no huts, there is no human beings. He is in the deep forest. Deep forest means the forest where no human beings. The forest which was untouched by human beings. That is called deep forest. Okay? Now in the forest, only loneliness, only silence. Now there was no man or any sign of man's influence, only trees, the rocks, and bramble and flowers, only silence. Now the boy could see only the trees in the forest, maybe the sound of some birds, but totally silence, deep silence. This silence is different from the silence in a room. Do you understand? Now the boy felt the silence in the forest, not in the room, not in the street. You also may have felt silence in your house. Maybe on the street, we had just finished the lockdown days. Lockdown days, there were no buses, no cars on the street. If you could go there, you felt silence. But that silences are different from the silence in the forest. Forest silence is frightening, no. Forest silence make us frightening. Okay, let's continue. We can see what happened. The silence was impressive and a little frightening. It was different from the silence of a room or street. It was the silence of space, of the unknown, the silence of God. The silence in the forest felt the boy like the silence of space or the silence of God. You see, the writings of Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond says that the silence in the forest or the silence of nature is the silence of God. That means the presence of God, presence of nature. The silence of God is silence of nature. Though our writer tries to make you understand both God and nature are together. Okay, continue. Then, as the boy rounded a sharp bend, the silence broke into sound. Now the boy made a turn, Round means he made a turn. When he turned, the silence was broken into a great roaring sound. A sudden roaring sound, the sound of the river. See, it was the sound of the river. The boy make very happy. The boy was very happy now. Far down in the valley, the river tumbled over rocks. Now the boy could see the tumbling river, the flowing river. The boy gasped. Gasped means became happy, gasped, and began to run. He slipped and stumbled. He lost his feet. Stumble means take a false step. Take a false step is called stumble. But still he ran. Even though he stumbled, he kept on running. Then he was ankle deep in the painfully cold mountain water. And the water was blue and white and wonderful. You see, at last, our boy, he reached the river and he tasted the cool, refreshing water. The water was also very clean, blue in color. And Ruskin Bond says, the water was blue and white and wonderful. Wonderful feeling. The feeling of nature, the feeling of river, the feeling of God. Okay? Do you understand the story? Okay, it was a nice story, I think. Now we can continue a few more questions. We have completed other questions. Now, page number 12, question number 12. I can help you, but you write all the answers as a homework. First question, 12th question. Why did the boy feel discouraged? Why did the boy feel discouraged? The boy traveled, walked a lot, but he could not see the river. The woodcutter told him it was 7 miles only. And also the village boy told it was very near. And he confused whether the village girl who told 20 miles, was it true? Such a type of confusion that made the boy discouraged. So you can write such sentences as an answer. Next question. The boy found the silence impressive but frightening. Why? I told you already the answer. The boy felt the silence impressive because of the silence in the forest. It was unlike the silence of room or on street. And also it was frightening. So something you can write as an answer. Here the boy was alone in the forest, so the silence made him frightening or impressive. Such answers. Question number 40. What broke the silence of space? We have read that the silence in the forest was like the silence of space or the silence of God. So here the question, what broke the silence of space? The flowing of river, the tumbling water, the roaring sound of the river. So you can answer that. The roaring sound of the river broke the silence of space. Okay? Question number 15. The boy slipped and stumbled, but still he ran. Why? The roaring sound of the river attracted the boy. That is why, even though he stumbled, he ran again. Why? He was so fascinated by the sound of the river. So the roaring sound made him attract. Okay? Question number 16. Identify the words used to describe water. The last paragraph, Ruskin Bond used some words to describe water. What was the words used to describe the water? Cold, blue, white, wonderful. These are some words that describe water. Next step. The water in this river is clean and bright. Are our rivers the same? If not, why? It's a good question for you. You know, the water when the river was in the deep forest, it was very clean, cold, very refreshing. But the same river flows down to the villages and cities. Man pollute it. So the blue color changed into maybe dark or black. People pollute the river. So the present situation of our rivers in our cities and town are totally different from that of the river when it was in the deep forest. Do you understand why? Because of pollution. Human beings made it polluted. That is the reason. So you write your answers. Okay? So now we have finished all the paragraphs or all the units. You should read all the lessons many times as possible. All the paragraphs. It was really a nice, beautiful story that make you love nature. That make you to make a walk along the forest. So all children, dear, you should read it more and understand the lessons not for English, not to improve your English language, but to improve your heart. Which heart? The heart which make you love nature, love forest, love animals. If you like or love nature, it is just like that of loving God. That is the essence of this entire unit. And now, let us go to a few more activities. Here are some activities that need for you to enrich your English, enrich your vocabulary, enrich your grammar, enrich your language. So first one, you have read the story, How Far is the River? Haven't you? Now try to remember the story and complete the following suitably. Here you see, how far is the river? And here are 4 columns. In the first column, it is the sentence that impressed you the most. You write down the best sentence that impressed you most. Maybe the silence was impressive and frightening. This is a sentence. For example, I say, this is a sentence that may impress you most. And in the right side, second, the moment you enjoyed the most. In the story, which moment you enjoyed? Maybe I can say, when the boy touched the water. In the last paragraph, the boy touched the river. That sentence may be enjoyed most. You may enjoy another sentence. What moment you enjoy most, you write down there. And next, the characters who test your heart. You all write the boy. Maybe some other like the woodcutter. Maybe some other like the shepherd boy. Anyway, which character tests you the most, you write down. And last, the pictures that flashed through your mind. There are many pictures, Ruskin Bond says. The picture of the village, the picture of terraced field, the pictures of houses and huts, and the picture of forest, and also the picture of river. Which picture in this entire story you like the most, you write down there. Simple activities now. Okay, go to the next activity, activity second. Here are the thoughts of a boy after his nature walk. Read it. You see, here is a thought of a boy after his nature walk. It was a thought of a boy. I read it for you. Recently, I visited a mountain valley, the magnificent valley of Kashmir. It was surrounded by snow-capped lofty mountains, which made it a land of springs and beautiful lakes. For a moment, I wondered whether I was in heaven. Really, Kashmir is a land of paradise. You know, dear children, we all say Kerala is God's own country. Similarly, Kashmir is felt like a land of paradise. So This is the thought of a boy who made a nature walk in Kashmir. So, identify the words or phrases he used to express his thoughts. Write them below. From his thoughts, which words and phrases you like the most, you write it down below. And activity 3. The boy who goes in search of the river feels discouraged. When he misses the village boy, he looks up and down the mountain path but sees no one. His own home is hidden from view by the side of the mountain, and the river is not in sight either. He wishes someone were with him. What would be his thoughts at the time? Write them below. Can you write? You can write some sentences like, oh, can I find the river? I surprised. If the woodcutter told me it was 7 miles, was it true? Or the girl who told me 20 miles, was it true? Which was true because I walked a lot but I couldn't see the river. Oh, these are the thoughts you may write. Similarly, such sentences you can write your own way to answer. Next, activity 4. You see activity 4, 2 columns are here and we see what it is. The following are the descriptions of a path to the hill. Read them. Here are 2 descriptions. These 2 descriptions are descriptions of a path or way. I read it, column A. The path was steep, it was dizzy, winding one. The hill was covered with lush green fence. The trees were wound with creepers, and a great wild dahlia would suddenly rear its golden head from the leaves and fence. A trickle of water came from the hillside. The water was cold and sharp, but very refreshing. And the same sentence, same description is on the B column also. B column was a very simple writing. You see, the path was steep. The hill was covered with fence, trees, and dahlias. Water came from the hillside. The water was refreshing. Both means the same. But column A, writings with lot of descriptions, descriptive words that makes us understand or feel well. The sentences that make you feel well. But in the column B, simple information only. It is just to know what was it, but without ornaments. In the first column A, the sentences are like a beautiful girl with ornaments, with the describing words. And in the second column is a girl without ornaments. That is the difference between column A and column B. So now the question is that, question number 1, which description is more interesting? You can say column A, because column A, the description was like a beautiful girl with a lot of ornaments. List the words which add greater effect to the description. What are the words that give greater effect to the description? Describing words. Which are the describing words in column A? Steep, dizzy, winding, etc. You find it out from the description. And now, find out the words that describe the place. And here are some other words, something like covered with lush green fence, trees, and dahlias. So, there are some words that describe place. You find out the words from the description. So, you do these 4 activities well and read the whole units many times as much as possible. Reading make you getting better English. Okay? So, read the paragraphs very well. And see you next class. Before seeing you next class, you should read the entire paragraphs many times. That is only one advice I would like to give you, my dear children. Okay? See you next class.